Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I'm really excited about this one because I am doing another installment in the anticipated releases for the year. This is my third one for the year, and I feel like 2022 is the first year where I've actually started reading books the same year they come out. That happened every now and then in years past, but I feel like this year I'm actually getting to a decent chunk of the ones that are showing up on my anticipated releases videos, and I'm really excited about that because I like being able to share about videos early so other people can jump on and start reading them if they're really good, or pass if they're not so great. So the books we're going to be covering today are being released in July, August, and September, with one exception. I have a June one that I don't think was on my last video, and I feel like this one's worth mentioning, so I'm going to sneak in a June one, and then the rest will be from the next 3 months, and I am going to try to do them in order and tell you their release dates as I go to the best of my ability. So the first one we're going to talk about is June, and the book is called The Key to Deceit. So this is book 2 in the Electra McDonald series. I've been talking about this a lot lately because I read book 1 I think in May, and then I read book 2 a couple weeks ago. And so this is about it's a mystery series set during World War II. Our main character, Electra, goes by Ellie. She is well, I think they're technically locksmiths, but her and her uncle break into safes for some extra cash, and they get caught in the beginning of the first book, and then they're have to choose between prison or helping with the war efforts, and they choose that. And I really enjoyed book 1, and book 2 was even better, so I'm really excited to be sharing that with you guys. Now my only problem is that I have to wait for book 3, probably for like a year. But if you haven't started that series yet and you're interested in like historical books or mysteries, I feel like this is a perfect blend for that historical mystery. So highly recommend that one. And I'm sorry about the lighting. The sun is going back and forth, so it's just gonna be what it is. Oh, and I forgot to tell you the date already for that one. So that one's coming out June 21st. So it's technically not out yet. I read it early on NetGalley and yeah, just loved it. Then we're gonna move on to July 5th. So this is another historical mystery book, and this is a new to me author, a new to me series. It's actually the first book in a series. It's called Augusta Hawke, and it's by G.M. Malliot. I don't really know. I feel like I did a good job trying to read the summaries and only put books on this list I'm really excited about. So I'll give you a brief little bit about this. So it says, sometimes it's safer not to know your neighbor's secrets. Where are Nico and Zora Norman? Crime writer Augusta Hawke puts her sleuthing skills to the test to solve the mystery of her disappearing neighbors in this first entry in a new series. So she is a successful author of 18 crime novels, and since her husband's death, she's been living vicariously through her detective Jules, but then her neighbors go missing, and she doesn't mean to be nosy, but she's writing at her desk, and so she stares out at her window all the time, and she knows a lot about their routines, and it turns out they've been MIA for like a week. And so this book sounds so interesting to me. This just happened recently. We live by a house where a lot of people, actually a few of the houses around us, there's a lot of turnover, they're rentals, but there's some people where recently kind of got to know their routine, just looking out the window every now and then, saw them a lot, and all of a sudden they were like gone, and packages were piling up on their doorstep and newspapers. And at what point does a neighbor actually report someone? Turns out they were just on a trip and it's all good. But this really makes me think about that. And also that episode, back in the day, what was the TV show called? Castle? Like the Richard Castle show. Then there was that one episode where he was injured and he's looking out his window and he was like spying on the neighbors. That's totally what it makes me think of. So I'm really excited to try this one. So that one was July 5th. I think I said that already. Then July 12th, we have a new Colleen Coble book, and this is a new series. So this will be Christian suspense. I feel like her books are very hit or miss for me, but it's a new series. I'm willing to try it, see how it goes. This says 9-year-old Annie Pedersen's life changed the night her sister was kidnapped. So I know that's gonna like put a lot of people off, but that actually sounds very interesting to me. Also terrifying as a parent, but interesting for a storyline. They had been playing outside on a dock, and Annie never forgave herself for her role in her sister's disappearance. Now it's 24 years later, and she is now a law enforcement ranger. She's still searching for answers, and she has a new loss, the death of her husband and parents in a boating accident. So, and then I don't know, something present day happens, I guess, but that one sounds interesting. I'm willing to give that one a try. And then I've got another historical mystery or thriller maybe. I'm not really even sure. I think it's a historical mystery book coming out on July 12th as well. This is called Death and the Conjurer, and this is the first book in the Joseph Spector series, and it sounds very interesting to me. It sounds very Sherlock-esque and that kind of era, although I guess this is 1930s London, so it's more like the Golden Age detective series. So it's 1930s London. Celebrity psychiatrist Anselm is discovered dead in his locked study, and there seems to be no way the killer could have escaped unseen. A Scotland Yard detective on the calls a retired stage magician turned part-time sleuth, Joseph Spector. Yes, so that sounds interesting. I don't know if it will be any good, but I'm curious. Then, coming out July 26th, we've got a historical fiction. This is The Librarian Spy. So this is by the same author as The Last Bookshop in London, which, yes, that is sitting on my TBR shelf there. After my cart, I've got like a historical fiction TBR shelf here. And I've heard nothing but good things about that. And so this one has the word librarian, so, you know, books, and it has the word spy, so I'm totally down. This is, I think, probably World War II. Ava thought her job as a librarian at the Library of Congress would mean a quiet, routine existence, but an unexpected offer from the US military has brought her to Lisbon, with a new mission, posing as a librarian while working undercover as a spy, gathering intelligence. And then we've got Occupied France. Elaine has begun an apprenticeship at a printing press run by members of the Resistance. So this sounds really interesting. They find themselves connecting through coded messages and discovering hope in the face of war. Oh, that sounds really good. Like, I kind of want to just order this book. I have this conundrum because many of you know I'm not really good with ebooks. So NetGalley is fun because you can read books when they're out, before they're out. But I don't really like reading them in that format. So I kind of want to just pre-order this book. Okay, the next one is another historical fiction mystery, possibly cozy mystery. And this is book 4 in a series, and I haven't read any of the series, but I saw this book pop up, and I've now requested the first book from the library because the book is called The Unkept Woman, and that's July 26th is coming out. And I think our main character is Miss Iris Sparks. She's currently co-proprietor of the Right Sort Marriage Bureau. I don't even know what that is. It says the Right Sort Marriage Bureau was founded in 1946 by two disparate individuals, Mrs. Gwendolyn Bainbridge, whose husband was killed in the recent war, and Miss Iris Sparks, who worked as an intelligence agent during the recent conflict, though this is not discussed. While the agency flourishes in post-war climate, both founders have to deal with some of the fallout that conflict created in their personal lives. I don't really understand what this is, but it sounds interesting. So I requested the first book. And then we've got August 2nd. So now we are into August. This is I think this is a Christian historical fiction book. It's called By Way of the Moonlight. And it says, for as long as she can remember, Allie, a gifted physical therapist, has dreamed of making her grandparents' 10-acre estate, oh yes, in the middle of the city, into a trauma recovery center using equine therapy. A dream her grandmother embraced wholeheartedly with her financial support. But when her will is read, the money is left to Allie and her family is barely enough to cover the cost of hiring a lawyer. And worse yet, the property has been sold to a contractor. So I have a feeling this is probably going to have like a romance element to it, like a very strong one, but I could be wrong. But I'm very curious about the trauma recovery center. That was kind of like the buzzwords for me there. Then on August 30th, so I think those are maybe my only 2 books in August. No, there's at least one more. Yeah, there's only 3 books in August. So on August 30th, The Final Gambit. This is the 3rd book in the Inheritance Games series, I'm assuming, since it's called The Final Gambit. I'm assuming it's a trilogy. I really enjoyed book 1. Book 2 is it was okay. But I want to finish it off. So in book 1, our main character, her name is Avery, she inherited this estate, a huge estate, from a man that she's never met. And so she spends a lot, and he has taught his grandsons, who are all very disappointed that they didn't inherit his money. He loved games with them, different word games and other things. And so they're trying to figure out why he has left his estate to Avery. And secrets, it says secrets upon secrets, riddles upon riddles. That's pretty much what it is. And then also on August 30th, there is a nonfiction book that I'm very interested in reading. It's called Fostered, One Woman's Powerful Story of Finding Faith and Family Through Foster Care. So this is a Christian nonfiction book about Tori, who grew up in the foster care system, a biracial child in a confusing and volatile world. She growing up with a mentally ill mother and living in 12 different foster homes. Nothing was in her favor. And yeah, so this is her story, and it's a family that fosters. I'm very interested in that. I think the rest of them on here are fiction. There was just like one random nonfiction in there. So then we are into September, I think. Yeah, September 5th. We've got this book. It's called Come Down Somewhere. 16-year-old Olive Alexander has lived on a ranch in the, I'm not even going to try to say that, southern region of New Mexico her entire life. But when World War II begins, the government seizes her family's land for the construction of a new top-secret army post. It says, for fans of World War II fiction comes a powerful novel about two women coming of age during the Trinity nuclear bomb test in 1945. So I'm have a lot of World War II fiction already, but this is a different side of it that I've never read anything about, so that sounds interesting. And then I think the next book here is coming out on September 6th. It's called Back to the Garden. This one is by Laurie R. King. She is the one that wrote the Mary Russell series. It's kind of a spin off of Sherlock. Sherlock's a little bit older, and then he takes an apprentice, Mary Russell. I've read a couple books in the series and really have enjoyed it. But this seems to be a standalone and very different. It's a 50-year-old cold case involving California royalty with potentially fatal consequences. Yes, it is a standalone. It says a magnificent house, vast formal gardens, etc. Now the estate is preparing to move to a new future. Inspector Raquel has her work out for her. 50 years ago, the estate's young heir, Rob Gardner, turned his palatial home into a countercultural commune of peace, love, and equality. That was also a time when serial killers preyed on innocents. Monsters like the Highwayman, whose case has surged back into the public eye. Could the skull belong to one of those victims? I don't know, it sounds very different. So I'm curious. I'm not sure if you guys can hear my computer fan. This thing is, it thinks doing nothing is very difficult for it. So that one was coming out September 6th. Next up, September 13th. I think there's a couple here. The first one is Wishtress by Nadine Brandeis. This is, I think, a standalone of hers. So it's young adult Christian fantasy. I have loved her Fox and Romanov, and then now she's got this one. She says she didn't ask to be the Wishtress. I can't actually say this word. Wishtress? In my brain, it always looks like wish trees. So my brain has issues. Oh, she's born with the ability to turn her tears into wishes. I don't really know what this is. There's a few different characters with a few different powers, but I've really liked her other ones, so I'm definitely gonna give that one a try. Then also September 13th, we've got Fallout by Carrie Stewart Parks. I already read this one. I just wanted to share about it in case anyone else wants to. I do think this is my least favorite of her books, which is sad to say, but also I read this one from NetGalley, and I seriously think that reading books for me in the ebook format like almost always brings it down a star. Because I rate books based on my enjoyment level, and I don't enjoy reading ebooks. So it was still really interesting though. Our main character is Samantha. She's teaching art at a school one day in a portable classroom, and an SUV comes barreling into the portable classroom, and I think the driver is dead, and then the passenger is still alive, and she seems to be getting targeted for some reason, and she has no idea why. Carrie Stewart Parks is definitely one of my favorite authors, and so I'm just gonna keep reading all the books she puts out. Even though that one was definitely less than stellar, I still liked it a lot more than other books I read. So okay, this next one, the cover really bothers me. I'm not a fan of the cover. So coming out on, what day is this one? September 13th as well, is Worthy of a Legend. So yes, this is by Rosanna M. White. I haven't read anything by her, but I have a few books I want to try by her, and this one is book 3 in a series, so obviously I'd want to read the first 2 first, but I read a few like interesting sounding words here, so that's why it's on my list. It says, after a summer of successful pirate treasure hunting, Lady Emily Schofield and her friends must hide the unprecedented discoveries they've made thanks to the betrayal of her own family. Horrified by her brother, who stops at nothing to prove himself to their greedy father, Emily is forced to take a stand against her family, even when it means being cut off entirely. So pirate treasure hunting, I mean, yeah, I'm there for that, so I'm gonna give it a try, but first I have to read the first 2 books, so hopefully they're not terrible. Then, on September 15th, we have the 3rd Thursday Murder Club book coming out. Oh, I need to pre-order this one, actually. Okay, it is called The Bullet That Missed. So I actually haven't read the synopsis at all, but I loved the first book and the second one. It's about a group of retirees who get together every Thursday to read through old case files and try to solve mysteries, and that they've got a pretty good streak. Yeah, definitely going to be reading this one, so let's read this together. It says, except trouble. Oh, maybe I should not start in the middle of a sentence. It is an ordinary Thursday and things should finally be returning to normal. Except trouble is never far away where the Thursday Murder Club are concerned. A local news legend is on the hunt for a sensational headline, and soon the gang are hot on the trail of 2 murders 10 years apart. To make matters worse, a new nemesis pays Elizabeth a visit, presenting her with a deadly mission: kill or be killed. Oh, okay. Well, Emily grapples with her conscience and a gun. The gang and their unlikely new friends, including TV stars, money launderers, and ex-KGB colonels, unravel a new mystery. But can they catch the culprit and save Elizabeth before the murderer strikes again? I hope so, because Elizabeth is a great character. So, definitely will be reading that one. And then the last one I have here is coming out September 20th. And this is a historical fiction mystery. It's called Because I Could Not Stop for Death. I talked about this one recently. Oh yes, in my historical TBR. So this is a historical mystery where Emily Dickinson is one of our characters. I think our main character is a woman named Willa Noble, who is gets a job. Maybe I'll just read this for you because I can't even remember. Okay, so it's January 1855. Willa Noble knew it was bad luck when it was pouring rain on the day of her ever-important job interview at the Dickinson home in Amherst. When she arrived late, as the housekeeper politely told her they'd be in touch, Willa started toward the door of the stately home, only to be called back by the soft but strong voice of Emily Dickinson. What begins as a tenuous employment turns to friendship as the reclusive poet takes Willa under her wing. Tragedy soon strikes, and Willa's beloved brother, Henry, is killed in a tragic accident at the town stables. Willa tells Emily about her brother's death and why she believes it was no accident. She's convinced it's murder. Viewing it at first as a puzzle to piece together, Emily offers to help, only to realize that she and Willa are caught in a deadly game of cat and mouse that reveals corruption in Amherst that is generations deep. Oh. Yes, this sounds really interesting to me. I've really gotten into the historical mysteries, and I love it when they take like famous main characters like Agatha Christie. That's mostly what I've read, but then there's also like Sherlock, and I have read the first book in the Bronte sisters mysteries. That one, the first book anyway, was a complete flop in my mind, but I like this idea, so that's another one I'm going to be reading this, well, as soon as I possibly can, really. So I think those are all of my anticipated releases for the next few months, although I probably missed a few. So let me know in the comments which ones you're most excited about from what I talked about, if there's some that I missed that you're excited about, because yes, I definitely don't share all of them or find all of them, and I'm excited because this is the season when other booktubers are sharing similar lists, and while there's often some crossover, there's always new books that I'm hearing about that I get excited for. So thanks for watching, guys.